Welcome back to the Chad Hasty Show, final hour of today's program. It's all anyone's talking about, coronavirus. It's had a huge impact on even the sports world, and over at our friends over at Texas Tech University, and joining us to talk about the impact that it has had, and has a few questions that are still out there regarding sports. The Senior Associate Athletics Director for External Operations and Strategic Communications at Texas Tech, Robert Giovannetti, joining us. That's a very long title, Robert.
They had to balance out my last name. I got a long last name, so you had to have something underneath it to make it look good on the card.
I like it. Hey, thanks for joining us today. We really appreciate it. I guess let's go back the last 24, 48 hours where, it was sort of like a snowball, right? The NBA suspended its league, and then after that it was, or a little bit before that, March Madness was told they were going to have no fans. Then March Madness was canceled. The Big 12 tournament was canceled. How did that work in y'all's office? I mean, what was that like? And who made what decisions regarding the cancellations, in particular in basketball?
So we, when we left, when the team left on Tuesday, I think we all felt pretty good about everything. And then you're right, it did start to snowball. We had some of the news coming out of the NBA, and so on Wednesday, literally when I can't remember what the first game was, but there was the two games on Wednesday night. It might have been the Iowa State Oklahoma State game. I don't. It's so much I don't remember who.
Oh, sure,
played.
Yeah.
But they're on the court. There are fans in the stands, and the 8 athletic directors were having their regularly scheduled meeting, and with our senior women administrators and our faculty athletic representatives, something we do every year during the Big 12 tournament, is a chance for all the people and the colleagues to get together for their yearly meetings. And as they were getting up to leave, Commissioner Bowlesby asked the ADs to stay behind, and there he had some news that they had been following the health officials at Kansas City, and they had kind of upped the ante a little bit. And that's when they made the decision, okay, we've got fans in here tonight, but starting tomorrow, let's go ahead and limit. We're going to play the tournament, and then we're going to limit the seating. So they got they made that announcement. We put it out. We started having to deal with, from our end, we had to deal with our ticket holders who had bought tickets, who had made the trip to Kansas City. We tried to get the messaging out as soon as possible, and actually we did get some comments from people that, hey, I was just about to get on a plane, I was just about to go to the airport, all that, so hopefully we saved some people some travel dollars. So then you move ahead to Thursday. Our team's actually on the floor, and again, we had a meeting here, so we had a meeting at 7:30 that morning with all the presidents from the tech system, and the Chancellor Mitchell, and then Kirby and I were on that call, and we just talked about moving forward and what we're going to do and put the implementation in place. And then Kirby had another AD meeting at 8 that morning. We were playing at 11:30, and at about 10:30, I guess the city of Kansas City declared a state of emergency in Kansas City because of what was going on there. So they got the presidents on the call, because this is a presidential decision. There are board of directors, the presidents, and the presidents voted unanimously, hey, let's go ahead and cancel the Big 12 tournament. So we pulled everybody off the floor, and our team was back on a plane about 2 o'clock that afternoon coming home, both teams, men's and women's. So it did, you're right, it did snowball. It went from, hey, I think we're going to be okay, we're going to play the tournament with full crowd, 20,000 people, to, okay, now we're going to play it from 250 people every game, to we're canceling the whole thing. So it happened quickly, and it just wasn't here. You saw it. As we were talking about all this here, we had a television on with St. John's and Creighton playing in the Big East tournament, and then at halftime that got canceled. So I think I think all the leagues started basically basing their decisions off what the other leagues were doing as well.
Well, and talk about the cancellation of March Madness. I was watching, yesterday afternoon, and watching as the head coach of Gonzaga, Mark Few, was on. He was on Sports Center, and they told him, "Hey, just to let you know, we're just getting this in. March Madness is canceled," and he was shocked by it. I mean, he was really surprised. Were you all shocked by it as well?
Yeah, we were definitely surprised. So we were the league had at one point left it up to every school about their spring sports, and so we were actually just dealing with West Virginia saying, hey, we're not coming to Lubbock for baseball this weekend. So we had just met with our group to talk about, hey, we're canceling that, and then we had talked about the league has to do something, right? You can't leave it up to individual schools, you know, and so Kirby went back into a meeting at 1 with the Big 12. He had a 1:30 flight out. That flight got delayed, but anyway, he was on the plane about 1:30, and he texted, and I'm on a conference call with all of, again, the system people, and I'm here in Lubbock, and Kirby was in Kansas City, and Kirby said, hey, we're going to suspend everything until March 29th, and then look at it again until March 29th. They get on a plane, and they take off. They're in the air. And then I'm actually going over to Chancellor Mitchell's press conference he has yesterday at the system office, and on my way over, my phone dings, and I look, and it says the NCAA has canceled all winter and spring championships. So, again, the league had put out the announcement at basically that same time we're halting events until March 29th, and then the NCAA comes out canceling the two championships. And so, actually, as President Giovannetti was walking into the press conference, I told him, I said, hey, they canceled March Madness, and he said, yeah, the Big 12 tournament. And I said, no, the entire tournament is canceled. And so I showed him the statement. So when our team landed, when they got, when you got into range or whatever in the air and you start getting your internet back and people started getting the messaging, that's when they learned it. And so it was kind of, again, just like Coach Few, it's funny how to see different people learned about it. It was shocking to say the least for us, and I think especially the spring championships, College World Series, all the other events, because that just seems so far down the line. Again, it just surprised everyone.
It does. Okay, so what is, and I've had this question from a few folks, what's the status of baseball at Texas Tech and softball and the rest of the athletics? I mean, if you don't have a College World Series, do you have a season?
I would guess there's going to be a meeting at 3:00 today with the Big 12 officials because now they've got to come back off after the NCAA announcement. So you've got to decide who else is playing. If the league says, hey, we're going to assess it at March 29th and see where we are. I know that the Big 10 and Pac-12, I believe, have canceled all athletic events for the rest of the year. Would you do just something on conference play? But then you're in a different situation, right, that if one league does something different than the others, how does that affect eligibility and everything else? Because there'll be some of these questions to be answered, too. There's so much unknown at this point. There's no book for this. There's no, hey, let me pull out the pandemic folder off of the shelf and look to see what happened. And so, so many questions to be unanswered about eligibility, about
I was just about to ask you, if you're a, I don't know about basketball because, they got the season, not the postseason, but they got the season in. But for baseball, how does that impact eligibility? Y'all still don't know.
That still has not been determined at all by anyone. And again, it's on a list. It was funny. I was asking Kirby some questions yesterday while he was on the plane before they took off, and he said, the league just we haven't got to that yet. Wow. And again, there's so much you're just trying to. You want to make sure everyone's safe. You want to make sure.
Sure.
So some of those things obviously have to be handled. But I think they're doing it probably in the right order. Hey, let's make sure, get everyone home, everyone's safe, all those things we've been dealing with. Our softball team's still in Hawaii. Again, if you're going to get stuck somewhere, that's probably not a bad place.
No.
But we're trying to get them back. We had to get our women's tennis team back from Ames, Iowa. We had golf on the road. So I think trying to handle that, plus now the additional week of spring break, and how everyone, and that's pretty standard across the country. These schools are doing that. So we're working on some of those aspects too of, how do we handle our students during this? When do we ask them to come back, our student athletes? So all these issues. And then I think eventually as you move down the checklist, you'll get to, hey, what are we going to do about eligibility? You're right. I don't think there's any chance that you would grant an extra year of eligibility in basketball, but I would think some of these other sports that have just started, golf, tennis, baseball and softball, obviously, that these are conversations that will be had. Now, again, and you get a whole new crop of student athletes that are eligible for the draft this year in baseball because of age and everything else. And so, a lot of these kids are got to make hard decisions about, hey, do I want to go ahead and sign, or do I want to try to come back? So it's unfortunate. And again, we understand sports is just kind of it's a microcosm of what's happening in the country, right? We're dealing with hourly employees worried about are they going to have their hours cut back? There's real life issues that are that we're all dealing with too. So again, there's not a book on it now. I guess there will be a book someday. Somebody's going to write one, but it's been interesting to say the least. We just left the 9:00 meeting this morning as an executive team, and Kirby was talking about this. We're all learning as we go on this thing.
Visiting with Robert Giovannetti here. So just to clarify, there's going to be a 3 p.m. Big 12 meeting. That's when y'all will learn more about the future of spring sports.
Right.
For those and again, if one of the things that y'all are fortunate of over at Texas Tech for baseball, you're basically sold out on season tickets. If you're a season ticket holder, let's say baseball does get canceled, are there refunds that have to go out, or how does that work?
Yeah, we're actually working on a plan right now that it's easy for single game season ticket holders. Single game ticket holders. If you got, hey, I've got 3 tickets to the West Virginia series this weekend. We'll refund that money. We're still working out the logistics on season tickets as far as prorating and what we're going to do there. But we also want to wait to see, are there going to be any more games this year? But we're going to message our season ticket holders and let them know we're in a bit of a holding pattern and get that worked out. But we're certainly going to make things right with our season ticket holders. You mentioned we've sold out so many years in a row. We've got great, loyal fans. We understand their frustration as well, so we will. But it is something that we're dealing with. We're working on the verbiage right now. We're looking at what other schools are doing as well. We're trying to, again, be consistent with what other schools are doing and helping each other, right? We're helping other schools about, hey, what's the best way to do this? And so we want to do that, and we'll communicate. We'll communicate as much as we can with our fans. Again, we're asking them not to come in to the ticket office for the very reason we're not doing some of the other events, but we'll communicate with them on the phone and through email and hopefully get through this and get them a great plan. We'll know a lot more this afternoon, and then we can make real firm decisions after the meeting this afternoon.
Very good. Robert Giovannetti, Senior Associate Athletics Director over at Texas Tech University. Let's visit again next week so we can get an update on how everything's going. And, I know there are a lot of people out there, and I know you guys are too, that, obviously you want to put health first, but I know there are a lot of people who are hoping to see some baseball this year. But
I'm one of them. Yeah,
exactly. So we'll see what happens. Robert, thank you very much for your time.
No problem. Thank you. Bye-bye.